Hi guys, welcome back to Origami Twist. My name's Jen, and in this daily December video, we're talking snowflakes. Now I did have a viewer request to teach how to make a snowflake, and my guess is they wanted a specific, something intricate and fancy. And I thought, you know what, rather than doing a very specific one where you follow the instructions and it comes out exactly like mine, why don't I deconstruct the snowflake and give you some quick hints on how to make your own so that yours looks super professional and like a snowflake making artist created it. So here is a simple one that I created myself, but we're going to go step by step through several sheets of paper to give you all of the mechanics of how a snowflake works. So first things first, we need to fold the paper so that we end up with a hexagon shape. That is the beginning of the snowflake. Now, I don't cut mine down to a hexagon, but I do fold it so that the final piece ends up being hexagon-like. So you're going to start by taking the colored side, putting it down, or if you're using white paper, just start folding. You will start with a square shape, so if you're not sure how to make a square, I'll put a link to how to do that out of a rectangle in the link below, or you can just use origami paper. That's fine too, because it already comes in a square shape. You're going to bring one corner up to the opposite corner and crease. And this is where it's going to get interesting. We need to take one arm of this triangle, so we're using the long end of the triangle, and bring it up, but bring it past the center. So usually when we do origami, we line it up with the center and it's all nice and neat. This is more of a guesstimate. So we're going to have it come past this line and, I'd say about there. And then you're going to turn your paper over and do the same thing. That point on the right hand side, bring it up and to the outside. Now if you find that this triangle and this triangle are really, really different, you may actually want to, wiggle it around a bit. So make this one a little bit less and, get it to where you like it. Once you have folded it roughly in thirds, the more detailed your final piece is, the more accurate you want to be with those thirds. Once you've done that, then you are ready to start cutting into your snowflake. And once you really get a shape that you like, you can put your new triangle over the top of a pre-folded one. And that will mean that it's all nice and neat and they all are the same shape and you don't have to fiddle with it. So again, as I've been saying this whole month, and as I will continue to say, your template is your friend. Creating templates can give you a lot of time savings. So I'm going to make a couple of sheets here because we're going to talk about the anatomy of the snowflake next. Now the thing that the snowflake artists don't tell us is that there are three main things that make up any snowflake. So the secret to getting an amazing snowflake is to know what cuts will give you what part of the snowflake, because you can then modify those different cuts based on the shape that you want. So we'll start with the first part of a snowflake, and that's the center. What shape or what cut into this shape here will give you a little hole in the center or not? And I'm using some nice sharp scissors. These particular ones are from close to my heart, but I do know that Michael's and different craft stores sell them. I find the sharper they are and the pointier they are, the more detail you can get out of your final piece. But use whatever you've got. Any scissors will at least give you a basic snowflake. Okay, so let's start small. If you don't want a hole in the middle of your snowflake, if you want it to be solid, don't do any trimming at the bottom point of this shape. This is what creates the hole in the middle. If you want a square, cut it straight across. And when we open it, so just trimming off the end will give you a geometric shape with straight lines. Fold it back up. If you cut a bit of a curve into the bottom, that will give you closer to a circle or perhaps a flower shape, depending on the shape of the curve you put in. And then if you want to give it a little bit more pizzazz, you could go in, make little bumps perhaps in your cut, see? So you've got a shape in there. And what that will do is create like a scallop or gives you more detail in your final shape. And you can experiment with that, but just keeping in mind that the more you trim off the bottom, the bigger the hole will be. And the shape of how you trim it will also make a difference to the hole in the middle. So that's step one, the center of your snowflake. It has everything to do with the tip of this fold. The next part of the anatomy of a snowflake is the holes. So in this case, we've got these interesting pointed almond shapes. You can do round holes. There are all sorts of different options, but holes in a snowflake are created by cutting into the sides of your shape. And you can go all the way out to the edge. Most people only go to this point here, and that's because that's where the hexagon or the multi-sided shape ends, is there. Once you get out here, you're into square territory. So it depends on the shape of the final piece that you want, but I would suggest to begin with, starting with that point and down to the actual end. So in order to make these almond shapes like I've got here, I'm just going to cut out of that fold, and I'm going to cut a long pointed sort of half almond shape, just like that. If you want something a bit more round, you can actually create a half circle like that. And what that will do is it will make the actual shape not have a point. So if you're going straight at the edge of that paper and then going up and curving, that's not going to be a perfect circle because that's not a half a circle. That's half of a more of an oblong shape, but it will give you more of a rounded shape with less points. Coming in at an angle will give you a pointed shape, and you can combine the two and come in at an angle one way and then back out the other way, and you'll probably know from experience that that is going to give you a heart. So again, that pointed half almond shape and that circular or half circle shape gives you an oval or an oblong and an almond, and then cutting in and coming back down gives you a heart. But that is how you create holes in your snowflakes, simply by cutting into the sides and into the folds from the side. Now we're 2/3 of the way there. You've got the hole in the middle, you have the holes in your snowflake, and now we want to know how to make arms. Now if you want your shape to not have arms at all, then you want to avoid the entire top section of what you're cutting. So I'm actually going to trim off these top bits because, again, like I said, we're going into square territory there. If you make that round, you're going to end up with you'll end up with a more rounded snowflake. If you make it straight across, you're going to have a more geometric snowflake. And then, if you don't want arms at all, there you go. That's going to be your shape. Just do holes and cut out the center if you want to. But if you do want arms, here's how you do it. Now I'm going to stay super simple with this so you can see how the shape creates itself. So if you cut a little V out of the top, so again, this is the point that's opposite that point that you cut the center from. If you cut a little V you end up with big, fat, wide arms. If you cut a long, skinny V, and again, we're going straight down towards that point, you end up with medium-sized arms. Notice how the closer we get to center, the longer the arms are. And if you cut out, say, just one and make it a little bit asymmetrical, so wide and skinny, you end up with a pattern of skinny, wide, all the way around. Now, keeping in mind that this is how it cuts out when it's folded across, turn it over, fold it across. If you've folded your piece in thirds, you're going to get a different pattern. So just make sure that you're holding it in place like this, or that you double check on scrap paper before you make your finished piece. Otherwise, it could end up backfiring on you. Now, let's go really big, shall we? To finish it all off. What if you cut a super, super deep V? If you open it up, if you cut it one big V, you're going to end up with a 6-armed snowflake. And just like, as we were saying before, if you're cutting from this side, from the outsides, you'll end up with holes in your final piece. And if you're cutting from the inside, you're going to end up with just a scalloped edge or whatever you cut into the edge. Okay, so holes on the outside, the inside edge is going to give you any fringe or anything like that. Now I'm just going to do one more because you'll probably notice that this finished piece has 12. And you're probably going, well, how do you make 12? Because if we cut a V into this, it only gave us 6. Well, you actually need to create a 12th one. So we're going to go straight down and make a limb in the middle, and then just down the side on either side, so that rather than one V, we've got 2 V's. You see that? And when you open it up, that will make your final piece have 12 arms. And as you can see, when you open it up, because these were folded over, they're twice as wide as this middle one. So keep that in mind when you're determining how, the size of your arms. Because I made this one wider and this one slimmer, I was able to get a fairly even pattern all the way around. So yeah, there you go. That is the anatomy of how to make a snowflake. Start with your center, making a hole in the center by cutting off something from the bottom. You make holes in the entire piece by cutting into the sides. And in order to decorate those limbs and actually create limbs, you want to cut in from the top down into the middle, either a 12-sided one by cutting out 2 or more. You can cut 3 however you'd like to, whatever intricacy you want to get to, and a 6-sided one by cutting a single V. I hope that tutorial was super helpful and that you're able to make thousands of different snowflakes using those techniques. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you back here again tomorrow for Daily December. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy videos like this. I have a lot more coming in the future, and I also have a whole bunch more that you can check out just by clicking below on the words Origami Twist or on my name. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.